Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today is one of my favorite days. We have tier list day. However, I want to put a thumb on that thought there for a second. We're just going to hold it there. And I just want to say thank you, because the real deal here is you guys. We hit 1,500 subs. Incredible. I can't believe it. And I'm so thankful, so humbled, and appreciate your support. I do not take it for granted. The other thing I just want to say and continue on with is that this community we've built together, I am very appreciative of. Additionally, the way that you guys treat each other, I am so thankful for, and I'm very, very thankful for your guys' support. I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate every second of it. So with that said, though, this is one of the reasons why I get up every day to produce this content for you guys, because you care, I care, and we're in it together. So let's take that thumbtack off that thought here and go back to the tier list, because that is why many of you came here today. But again, just wanted to say thank you. So with that said, we do have a tier list session here today. One of my favorite things to do. We do have something unique, something special with this. So hang on for a second here. Before we get to it, though, what a tier list is, for those of you that are new, those of you that are returning, typically what I do is a stack rank of 1, 2, 3 in tier, 1 being the best. However, special note, I did actually go to 4 because there's just so many decks. So that is the other fun surprise. Over 4 months, we have covered 100 plus decks. Now, really 100, but I'm saying the plus because there were some Omnath bannings in there and things like that, but maybe, you know, you guys forgot. So anyway, with that said, we got so many decks to go through today. It's incredible. It's going to be fun. So with that said, though, Planeswalkers, a couple things here to note. So you can feel free to go in the timestamps down below, because we are going to talk about the deck list, or sorry, the tier list. I'm so used to saying my other talk track. Tier list, which is 100 decks. So you guys can check that out. Information will be available for you also down below. So you guys can take the spoiler now if you want. Second, I'm absolutely going to talk about observations. So those observations are going to do a couple things. That we're going to put a wrapper around the last 4 months. Additionally, some of the changes that have came out over this month past some of the last ones. And then I'm also going to weave in some Kaldheim thoughts there. I think I got it right. We'll see. You guys can let me know down below in the comments. But we'll weave in some of those thoughts. I'm also going to part with some of my strategy, because I know that's why you guys like to come here too, is how we're going to progress into the next season, progress in the next set, give you some pointers and things that I found to be successful at the start, at the go, at the end of the season, in Mythic, you know, top 1,500, those kinds of things, so that you guys can take that and be fruitful, multiply, and perform well. And then additionally, I do want to spend some time talking about 3 decks. I've gone away from covering the full list of decks because the information's there. You guys don't need that. You can read and you can watch other videos. But I do want to spend a moment on 3 decks. We'll talk about those here in a second. So without further ado, we will move into the tier list here. So let's go ahead and move in. You guys can see the 3 decks ahead of time that I'm gonna talk about. But let's go ahead and grab this tier list. So as I mentioned, my friends, this is absolutely, positively incredible. I have covered 100 decks, absolutely 100 decks. The plus is some of the Omnath stuff you guys can go check out if you want. Maybe I'll put a link in there. We'll see. Depends if I got enough space in the description. I've ran into some problems with that already. But we've covered 100 decks. It's not 73. It is 100. So we're gonna edit that. 100 decks. That should be bold and all that too. So anyway. 100 decks. This list is available for you down below. We're going to cover it here slightly and quickly. I broke it into 4 because there's just so many. Additionally, you guys can go to my website, check that out if you'd like. And as always, before we start rolling through everything, I just want to say, you know, not only from the 1,500 sub support that you guys have given me, appreciate that support. So please feel free to subscribe down over there if it's your first time, or if you haven't subbed and you're coming back. Always appreciate that. Feel free to hop in the Discord server, you guys. And also feel free to like the video. So let's go ahead. We're going to drill through this pretty quickly. What you'll notice is a couple of trends. We'll talk about those here in the observations in a second. And I know you guys can read this. And actually, my old man eyesight is getting real bad, so I'm gonna get real close. Okay, I think we can read that, huh? Real close, and we'll go from there. I'm actually gonna be like blind by the time I'm done with this. So Tier 1, we got 8 decks. We got Mono White Lifegain Aggro, Mono Red Aggro, White Auras, Boros Knights, Cycling, Boros-Yore Cycling. I still like that one. Naya Winota, Dimir Rogues. Now, as we get through this, what you'll see is a function of change over time. In terms of more decks being in Tier 1, just because the vastness of the decks, the way I do my decks is kind of a bell curve. I think it's the best way to kind of look at it. So the bulk of it should be in Tier 2 and Tier 3, which is what you're going to see. Tier 2 here, we got Boros Winota Warriors, Selesnya 4 Power, Mardu Yorion Doom, Mono Black Enchantments, Esper Doom, Esper Doom, Mono Black Aggro Enchantments, Dimir Control, Dimir Yorion Control, Athreos Prison, Orzhov Auras Doom, Azorius Control, Mono Green Food, Gruul Food, Gruul Adventures, Rakdos Midrange, Rakdos Escape, Mono Black Control, Mono Green Food, Azorius Control, Selesnya Counters, Selesnya Counters, Orzhov Auras, Mono Red Control, Dimir Flash, Izzet Draw Two, Temur Obosh Adventures, Temur Yorion, Jeskai Yorion Control, Selesnya Adventures, Rakdos Ramp, Orzhov Clerics, Golgari Adventures, Junsak, Temur Ramp. My God, we're like halfway through. I hope you guys are enjoying. I feel like it's like a musical note, and I'm not even musically talented. I'm actually quite musically challenged, but we'll get back to this. They're all different, by the way. They're not doubling up. All unique. Promise you. Tier 3, Izzet Tempo, Selesnya Yorion, Esper Monument, Golgari Control, Azorius Auras, Mono Black Devotion, Mono Blue Flash, Jeskai Control, Jeskai Zerta Control, Boros Transmog, Refi, Abzan Midrange, Azorius Party, Abzan Doom, Boros Aggro, Mono Red Emancipation, Sultai Midrange, Boros Control, Orzhov Auras Aggro, Orzhov Party, Boros Warriors, 4-color Enigmatic Incarnation, Mardu Knights. We also have Naya Landfall, Jun Mutate Landfall, 4-color Winota Party, Bant Fate Oracle, Gruul Mutate, Rakdos Aggro, Boros Merriment, Grixis Control, 5-color Shrine, Naya Kahira Control, Izzet Control, Golgari, Death Touch. To round out Tier 3, and to bring it home, my friends, we got our Tier 4. So we got Abzan Ultimatum, Sultai Karuga Titan's Nest, Sultai Emergence, Jun Midrange, Selesnya Enchantments, Abzan Mutate, Simic Mutate, Azorius Tempo, No Color Artifact, Mono White Midrange, Bant Control, Selesnya Landfall, Naya Ramp, Mono Blue Devotion, Mono Blue Mill, Azorius Midrange, Sultai Gyruda Midrange, Dimir Mill, Jeskai Mill, Mono Blue Control, Simic Kicker, and Jeskai Spells to round everything out. That was several breaths, my friend. Lots of fun. So a couple quick things here again. This is the best of one tier list, so I failed to mention that. I was too excited to say thank you, guys. So best of one tier list. Now, a couple key things. The biggest thing with best of one is it's really win rate driven. Many of you know that I use Untapped. I have that information available for you guys down below in the description, so you can feel free to use that in terms of the client and track my journey, those kinds of things. But I heavily focus on win rates when it comes to best of one. Some of these things that are outliers, some of these things that you're not going to get all the data on, I do take that into consideration in some of the matches, some of the things that I've played, look, feel, all that over time as well. And as the meta shift changes, I try and make the best in terms of what I'll say, the quantitative analysis as well as the qualitative analysis, and blend the fact and the art together to give us this list. So with 100 decks, obviously it's probably there, but it's near impossible for me to actually see that unless I had my own program. But I did want to call that out because it is important. But most of this is definitely driven by win rate, and certainly tier 1 and tier 2 is definitely win rate. So keep that in mind. And I'm just going to pause on this for 1 second, and before we get into observations and some other thoughts here, I do want to talk about Kaldheim because it's important. And what I would tell you from me to you, and in terms of success to ongoing success in terms of the meta, right out of the gate, it's always important just to play. If you're competitive, a lot of the stuff that is already there at the top, it takes a little bit. Now it's quicker with Arena now, but it takes a little bit for things to kind of fall into place. So if you are competitive, if you want to look to move up the rank fast, you certainly can play these decks and you'll probably be just fine. The other caveat there is you can take a couple of key cards out of the new set, plug those into the tier 1 decks here, and generally you're going to be just fine. Now, however, you look at Boros Cycling, for example, you're not really going to get cycling cards coming out of Kaldheim, so it's you gotta take those things into consideration. Boros Knights, again, a little bit different, but Lifegain and Aggro and Red and Auras, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in a second. You may get something, so stay tuned. So with that said, that is the list, my friends. It is available for you down below in the description. You have access to it right away. If you have questions, if you have comments, please let me know. Here to help. Again, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my my nice poem that I read to you there. So let's go ahead, my friends. We're going to move into the next piece here. Because that's important. We are now going to cover, oh my gosh, this is, sorry, too much. I can't read. I can't see. We're now going to cover some of the key observations and thoughts. It's really important for us to get and gain a nice understanding here. I'm just going to keep it on the deck so you guys can obviously see the list down below and go to my website and check those things out as well. And then the other thing that not so obvious is if you go to my website, I do have a greater expanded thought in terms of some of these things that we do want to talk about. So in terms of interest and consideration, the first thing here is white and red, a match made in heaven and hell. So we saw that in terms of the tier 1. The reality is, and I'll just say from my experiences, not only do we continue to see the, and you can see it here, the pure domination of the two in terms of best of 1. I will still say it's suspect and interesting given the last kind of January season that we do got going on, that the win rates have slightly fallen. My red here is not at 65%. I do run a unique deck list for that. I haven't made a video on it specifically, but if you guys are in the Discord, you guys can certainly get access to that one, or patron and YouTube member as well. Some of those other things. But with that, that is a keynote. I did see a lot in terms of the best of 1 diversity becoming a lot broader. So some things to keep in mind. And additionally, you know, some of the I'm laughing at my own note here. Get some of these pieces, some of the unusual suspects have become good. And what that means is, again, in terms of the meta, depending on where you're sitting, Mythic, those kinds of things, a lot of these decks, you know, I get a lot of feedback. We did cover 100. They were all top decks. You know, some of these tend to actually pop up, outperform, do well. I know a couple of folks in the Discord channel were talking about some of the Flash decks they're playing and those things, crushing it, doing really well. And certainly I found kind of the same with some of these decks. You know, it will happen. It's the way the health of the meta is, so it's pretty important just to keep in mind. And then in terms of Kaldheim, my personal conviction, as I already mentioned, in terms of the tier 1, again, these two colors, white, red, and kind of scattered throughout there, are certainly going to stay at the top. Rogues isn't going away, my friends, but they're going to gain a couple of things with some additional love here. We got Righteous Valkyrie coming in. That's the 3-drop flyer that's going to beef based off of Lifegain. Additionally, we got Arnie Broken Brow, another 3-drop slot that could be very impactful here for For a mono red, again, this is primarily in best of 1, so keep those things in mind. Obviously, this could impact best of 3 as well, so that's pretty important. The other next piece here is lands, and snow, my friends. So I do live in what I call the frozen north here in the U.S., but I like snow. I like 4 seasons. We got a new season coming here with Kaldheim, but a couple of key pieces though is some of the archetypes that we talked about, the 1 and 2 colors. We're going to see an expansion of the 2 and 3 colors becoming more competitive. Mortal lands have certainly made a huge impact, so keep an eye on that. We got a whole new cycle of these things coming in, and this could represent a pretty big shift where some of these decks might have been struggling with some of the mana base. They're going to get that smoothed up. The other piece here in terms of Kaldheim to keep in mind is just the new cycle of not only the rares coming in, but the uncommons. A lot of times this gets forgotten about, and the impact that snow is going to have as a own archetype in and of itself. You know, tapping for lands, using snow to pay for things and create weird, I'll say 5-color decks, because yes, it's going to happen. You guys just watch. Niv is a thing, a fun thing. Maybe not the most competitive at times, but it's fun. So I'm sure there's going to be something like that coming out. Again, speaking of shrines, maybe there's a snow-covered shrine kind of a deal. But again, just to call out some fun here with Notvold, it's Notvold, Slumber Mound, as we like to call it. This is a Gruul land, uncommon. It's expensive, but I like that it destroys another land, gives you a 4/4 trampler kind of a thing. So there could be some fun interactions with that. So keep those things in mind. You know, personally, I didn't think Gruul got a ton of love, but you know, that land could certainly be interesting. So keep those things in mind. Now, next, what I'll call is kind of the archetypes inbound. We've talked about current archetypes in the past. Certainly, I think we got a lot coming in here. So with that, in terms of focus in January here, we'll talk about some of that in a second in our decks. But there has been an influx of decks, certainly in the Platinum to Mythic 6+ wins, best of 3 space that I've talked about, and we saw that, you know, they're not necessarily the best in best of 1, but they have and can hold up steam. You know, I know a lot of you have commented on that. A lot of you asked me, and we've talked about that, and I know that you guys appreciate those different points of view. We recently ran a ton here with Azorius Tempo, Mono White Midrange, UW Enchantments, Mono Red Emancipation, Bantfey Oracle. You guys can see what we got going on here. Lots of things. So certainly an influx. Personally, you know, we'll get to it here in a second, but I certainly enjoyed Athreos Prison. So hats off to Hans here as well for that deck. Very, very exciting, super fun. I like the Boros Transmog as well as the Mud Artifacts, so we'll talk about those a little bit more in depth. And additionally, when I started moving into January here, I'm like, wow, I got 30 days of trying to get to 100 decks. What am I going to play? I wrote a list. I came out with 35 decks. I'm like, we're golden. And what's funny is after we got through that, I still ended up with 21 decks. That's right. So I didn't have to go curate these decks. Not only did the community build that many more decks, that many more fun archetypes, but I ended up with 21 leftover archetypes that I could have covered. So that is crazy. It speaks bounds and meaning to the current state of Standard, which is pretty cool, and something to keep in mind. Again, we'll talk about this here in a second, but as we approach Kaldheim, again, some additional thoughts here is, jokingly here, I said that the World Tree has this ability to continue on in terms of the phase that we're in the health of Standard, and fun interactive decks for us could be similar, but we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But a few things to keep an eye on. Again, generally, when it comes to new sets, certainly there's going to be a mechanic, those new mechanics that are going to come through and develop an archetype. So things like Boast, Foretell, to name 2, and obviously we got Snow, which we talked about, could pop up. I think there's going to be a thing there, certainly with Foretell, probably some sort of control deck, UW, you name it, that can make it possible. And then additionally, I think there's going to be other room for things like Berserkers, Angels, Demons, and Elves, just to list a few. I think, and being speculating and speculative here, I think we could get a reversion to a variant of Rakdos Aggro. That could be something, again, in terms of the Berserkers I talked about, or Demons. You know, we got the mid-range. I think that could be something. And additionally, one of the things that I think might be worth keeping an eye on is Azorius Flyers or white-black Flyers as well. That's something that could be in the cards, but we'll see. Early to tell, but focus on what we know. Move into what could be over time. We'll see this as we kind of all fill out our sets, or many of you, if you rush to drop like $600 day one and buy all the cards, it's not going to be me. But unless you guys tell me to, no, I'm still not going to do that. I'm a grinder, guys. So I'll do my best. So things to keep in mind now. Going on in the health of standard, you know, are the Vikings going to crush the culture, my friends? We don't know. I, again, just truly appreciate where we were, where we're going. You know, we spent 4 months in the space, not without its own hiccups. We had Omnath, we had Clover bans, those kinds of things. I think it's important to spend a second, be thankful, and again, appreciative of what we had. It's been a long time since we're in the space. Hopefully it will continue. However, if it doesn't, the tree is going to burn. It might not pass the torch, but when it comes to Kaldheim, it certainly could burn to the ground. So we know that the releases have been bogged in problems. It happens. You know what? I've been in the space. I know how it goes. So with that said, we'll get past it. I'm hoping things continue to be healthy. I really like decks, to be fair, that are like 50 to 55% win rate. I don't like a 65% win rate deck, and you're hearing this from a competitive player, because I like a broad format. I like interest. I like the ability to play multiple decks, not only because I cover them daily for you guys, but because I thoroughly enjoy that experience, not only for myself, but for everyone else. And in terms of, again, that thought there, you know, stay strong. We'll find out soon how it goes, because it's going to happen. Change is going to happen, my friends. It's inevitable. So last but not least, you know, truly, again, into the snow we go, into Kaldheim we go. I'm looking forward to the fresh meta, probably certainly as you guys are. I can't wait to cover new top decks for you guys, top 1,500 decks. We get a rinse, we get a clean slate. We got a lot of things coming out here. But I will miss the meta. And last but not least, my parting thoughts and wisdom. We talked about a lot of those key things in terms of leveraging what you know to be successful starting off, and the best advice that I could share with you. But what I also want to just say is good luck. You know, stay tuned. I got a lot of things coming your way, but good luck. I wish you the best in the journey, in the top 1,200 here, in the learnings, in the grinds, you name it. We're in it together. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to enjoy it while we do it. So kind of close everything out again. Planeswalkers, that is some of those thoughts that I had, current observations, considerations, items of interest for the meta for you in terms of January. You know, we covered the list. We talked about how Kaldheim is going to impact. So if you do have questions, comments, thoughts, let me know down below. Happy to hear them, happy to discuss, or hop in the Discord. Would love to hear that. Now we're going to move into kind of the final portion of our tier list monthly video here. We're going to take a look at 3 key decks. But before we do so, as always, again, thank you, Planeswalkers and friends. I appreciate that support, so please feel free to subscribe down over there, and feel free to like the video. So with that said, three key decks I do want to dive into here: Mud Artifacts, Boros Transmog, and Orzhov Athreos Prison. So first off, we got Mud Artifacts. This one was actually a tier 4 list that I threw in here, but I did want to spend a moment on this because I really like this deck. I like the gameplay of it, and I like the thought and the considerations that went into it. You know, not to fully rehash everything. You know, again, it's also mud black, mud swamp. But a couple things here. You know, I gave some thoughts on the video on how this deck could be stronger. I gave some thoughts on how you could improve it. Certainly artifacts was a central theme, and some things that I didn't cover too in January here. What I liked was the viability of it. What I liked was the concept of it. This deck just needed to get a little bit stronger on the front end, but certainly has that plausibility. I know several of you mentioned Azorius, several of you mentioned mono black, you know, mono red. We did mono black control, we did mono red control, but there's definitely a flavor here, and I definitely enjoyed playing this one. I did have a lot of fun with it, and rather I do like the mud concept. So stay tuned. You know, this could still change with Kaldheim. We'll see. You know, we got the vehicles and those things, but certainly a good one to play, and at least, if anything, have fun with. Now, you're probably not going to hit a lot of dailies though, because I don't see a play an artifact daily, so keep that in mind. But if you're looking to have fun, this is a good deck, and it's still competitive. Next, we have Boros Transmogrify. So I really like this deck a lot. A few key things. You know, it played well for us. I liked Outlaw's Merriment as a feeder. I like the Crowan War main board. We got a lot of things that we can do here. Transmog to go dig. But the other thing that I really liked about this, and some of the other Transmog decks that we played was, I think the Jeskai one, was this inclusion of Harmonious Archon. This card is super powerful. The other thing that I really liked about this was, I think I played this middle to early. I'll have to go back and look of the January season. I actually saw you guys playing this deck a ton, and it was a lot of fun. And the other thing that I'll say is slightly unfair because I knew the deck, so there is a part of surprise that I enjoy doing about this when I know that opponents don't know the deck. I know it, they don't know it. So when they were playing this, I was able to shut down like almost all the transmogs. Hard to shut down Luca too, just because the raw fact that I had enough burn. I was playing mono red at the time to hit the tokens every time they were casting transmog. So very, very fun. You know, just wanted to call this one out here too, because certainly good times. Last but not least, we got Orzhov Athreos. We got Hans Horlings here. So Hans, I'm probably killing it again. I know you've corrected me before, and I apologize. You know, love the deck, appreciate the support as always. I was so happy to see you hit top 100 with this deck, your own brew, and on top of that, again, Athreos Shroud Veiled, or Shroud Veiled. This was certainly something personally that I wanted to see played in the meta. You did it. I didn't have to go do it, so thank you. I truly love the deck. Certainly Planeswalkers, if you're looking to do something fun, looking to do something that's definitely probably going to have a nice pull through into Kaldheim, this is a good deck to play. A lot of good interactions. You know, I didn't play Athreos in a way that I could have better in terms of the video that I did. So as a call out, just make sure you put those coin counters on your own creatures too, because you can block and bring them back. So that's a big portion. I like the Doom Foretold woven in here, and everything else that we have going on. Certainly a solid deck. A great best of one deck as well. Does just fine in best of three. We had some luck with that too. So congratulations there. And this was, you know, the third and final deck that I did want to cover for you guys today, because it was certainly impactful. And on that note, as we kind of close out here, again, so many decks for us. I just want to say thank you. Please, you know, many of you have done a great job submitting decks to me. Please continue to do so. I love covering your stuff. It's a lot of fun. I like thinking about it. I like thinking how you're playing. You know, my criteria, as I mentioned before, is typically top 1,500. If you hit Mythic and stuff, please shoot me your deck when I'm looking to cover things. I'm always happy to do so, and I love hearing kind of your style behind it too. So with that said, Planeswalkers, you know, to kind of recap everything here, again, huge thank you. Or not top 1,500. We did top 1,500 subs. So thank you, Planeswalkers. I appreciate that. Again, I'm very humbled by your support, your love, your treatment of each other, the collaboration, everything that we have going on. So thank you. I know many of you support the channel. Many of you, we've had great conversations, and I look forward to continuing that. Additionally, you know, whether you're new or seeing this again, you know, please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there and like the video. So again, thank you. Additionally, I gotta quit doing the hand circles. I'm talking too much with my hands. We covered the tier list. We talked about what a tier list is in terms of stack rank. We talked about key observations in January, some of the changes. Again, not much at the top end, but how to pull forward into Kaldheim. We talked about how Kaldheim is going to potentially impact a few things in best of one, things that you can carry forward to be successful. And we covered a couple key decks here that, you know, certainly were impactful for me. A lot of fun for you guys, and also transformative in the way that you may potentially want to play the game as well. Certainly things that you might not have been thinking of, maybe you were. Otherwise, if you're like me trying to play Athreos, now you got something you can check out. So with that said, Planeswalkers, again, tier list day, love it. I look forward to the new set. Like I said, hopefully we'll continue to have a healthy meta. If not, hopefully Wizards bans fast and swift and we move forward into a healthy meta. We'll see. I don't see anything totally broken yet, but who knows? We'll find out. Doesn't take much either sometimes. With that said, stay safe. Take care. Mithras out. Stay tuned. We got a lot going your way. Again, huge thank you. Truly, I mean it. So we'll see you again soon. Take care.